Hey guys, we're ready for chapter 18 today because of Winn Dixie. And today we're going to find out about Opal's friend Gloria Dump, what she thinks of the litmus lozenge. And we're also going to find out who is Carson. So let's go ahead and let's read. Chapter 18. When we got to Gloria Dump's, I told her I had two surprises for her and asked which one she wanted first, the small one or the big one. The small one, said Gloria. I handed her the litmus lozenge, and she moved it around in her hands, feeling it. Candy, she said. Yes, ma'am, I told her. It's called a litmus lozenge. Oh, Lord, yes. I remember these candies. My daddy used to eat them. She unwrapped the litmus lozenge and put it in her mouth and nodded her head. Do you like it? I asked her. Mm-hmm. She nodded her head slowly. "'Tis sweet, but it tastes like people leaving." Do you mean sad? I asked. Does it taste like sorrow to you? Well, that's right, she said. It tastes sorrowful but sweet. Now, what's surprise number 2? A book, I said. A book? Uh-huh. I'm going to read it out loud to you. It's called Gone with the Wind. Miss Franny says it's a great book. It's all about the Civil War. Do you know about the Civil War? Well, I've heard it mentioned a time or two, said Gloria, nodding her head and sucking on her litmus lozenge. It's going to take us a long time to read this book. There are 1,037 pages. Woo-wee, said Gloria. She leaned back on her chair and crossed her hands on her stomach. Well, we best get going then. And so I read the first chapter of Gone with the Wind out loud to Gloria Dump. I read it out loud enough to keep her ghosts away, and Gloria listened to it good. And when I was done, she said it was the best surprise she'd ever had, and she couldn't wait to hear chapter 2. That night, I gave the preacher his litmus lozenge right before he kissed me goodnight. What's this? He said. It's some candy that Miss Franny's great-grandfather invented. It's called a litmus lozenge. The preacher unwrapped it and put it in his mouth, and after a minute, he started rubbing his nose and nodding his head. Do you like it? I asked him. It has a peculiar flavor. Root beer? I said. Something else. Strawberry? That too, but there's still something. It's odd. I could see the preacher getting further and further away. He was hunching up his shoulders and lowering his chin and getting ready to pull his head inside his shell. It almost tastes a little like melancholy, he said. Melancholy? What's that? Sad, the preacher said. He rubbed his nose some more. It makes me think of your mother. Winn Dixie sniffed the candy wrapper in the preacher's hand. It tastes sad, he said, and sighed. Must be a bad batch. No, I told him. I sat up in bed. That's the way it's supposed to taste. Litmus came back from the war, and his whole family is dead. His daddy died fighting. His mama and his sisters died from a disease, and the Yankees burned down his house. And Litmus was sad, very sad. And what he wanted more than anything in the whole world was something sweet. So he built a candy factory and made litmus lozenges, and he put all the sad he was feeling into the candy. Well, my goodness, said the preacher. Winn Dixie sniffed the candy wrapper out of the preacher's hand and started chewing on it. Give me that, I said to Winn Dixie, but he wouldn't give it up. I had to reach inside his mouth and pull it out. Ugh. You can't eat candy wrappers, I told him. The preacher cleared his throat. I thought maybe he was going to say something important. Maybe tell me something he remembered about my mama. But what he said was, Opal, I had a talk with Mrs. Dewberry the other day. She said that Stevie says you called him a bald-headed baby. It's true, I said. I did. But he calls Gloria Dump a witch all the time. And he calls Otis stupid. And once, he even said his mama said that I shouldn't spend all my time with old ladies. That's what he said. I think you should apologize, said the preacher. Me? I said. Yes, he said. You. You tell Stevie you're sorry. And if you said anything that hurt his feelings, I'm sure he just wants to be your friend. I don't think so, I told him. I don't think he wants to be my friend. Some people have a strange way about going about making friends, he said. You apologize. Yes, sir, I said. Then I remembered Carson. Daddy, do you know anything about Amanda Wilkinson? Well, what kind of thing? Do you know something about her and somebody named Carson? Carson was their brother. He drowned last year. He's dead? Yes, said the preacher. His family is still suffering a great deal. Well, how old was he? 5, said the preacher. He was only 5 years old. Daddy, I said, how could you not tell me something about something like that? Other people's tragedies should not be the subject of idle conversation. There was no reason for me to tell you, Opal. It's just that I needed to know, I said, because it helps explain Amanda. No wonder she's so pinch-faced. What's that? Said the preacher. Nothing, I said. Good night, India Opal, the preacher said. He leaned over and kissed me, and I smelled the root beer and the strawberry and the sadness all mixed together in his breath. He patted Winn Dixie on the head and got up and turned off the lights and closed the door. I didn't go to sleep right away. I lay there and I thought of how life was like a litmus lozenge, how the sweet and the sad were all mixed up together, and how hard it was to separate them out. It was confusing. Daddy, I shouted. After a minute, he opened the door and raised his eyebrows at me. What was that word you said? The one that meant sad? Melancholy, he said. Melancholy, I repeated. I liked the way it sounded, like there was some music hidden inside of it. Good night now, said the preacher. Good night, I told him back. I got up out of bed and unwrapped a litmus lozenge and sucked on it hard and thought about my mama leaving me. That was a melancholy feeling. And then I thought about Amanda and Carson. And that made me feel melancholy too. Poor Amanda. Poor Carson. He was the same age as Sweetie Pie, but he would never get to have his 6th birthday party. All right, on that sad note, we'll leave off. You have to come back tomorrow and see what happens next. Bye, guys.